Interesting to see the crossover between the Epstein client list and Kamala's puppet masters. I bet there's a lot of names that appear in both lists.
Elon was speaking a lot of inconvenient truths at the recent town hall he did campaigning for Trump. Welcome back to the JP Rex channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. That's you. This is where we like to call out the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants and Satan, shine the light of awareness on woke absurdities, and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters. Now, Elon Musk, no question about it, he's been a powerful force aligning with Trump. He's given $75 million of his own money to the Trump campaign. He's putting in a lot of personal effort, time equity, influence equity into promoting Trump because in Elon's words, this could be the last election if Kamala wins. If you catch my drift, the future of civilization depends on it, according to Elon. I don't say I disagree. I just don't like that that's how I see it as well. So Elon was campaigning for President Trump at a town hall in Pennsylvania, and he's doing more of these, and I think it's amazing. I think it's helping move the needle, and by the way, the needle is already significantly moved in Trump's direction, which is great. In this specific town hall, there were some really exciting things that I thought it was great to get Elon's thoughts on. One, we'll get to it then, to me most exciting, is there a shadow government behind the Harris-Walz campaign? What are Elon's thoughts on election integrity? But first, we must look at this. Obviously, Elon, he's a force of nature aligned with Trump. That's amazing. But Kamala Harris has Mark Cuban. Who's that, you ask? Yeah, like nobody cares. But anyway, Mark Cuban, he's another billionaire, owner or part owner of the Dallas Mavericks. He was or is on the show Shark Tank. And Mark Cuban, he's getting very leftist, communism's going to work out for everybody. We're the upper class. It'll be fine for us. So Mark Cuban was out campaigning for Kamala, doing a town hall of his own. I don't know if it was just white dudes for Kamala. A lot of people are now suspecting that Mark Cuban is a full-on lesbian. I don't know, but it's just interesting. You can see the view counts. Mark Cuban's town hall for Kamala racking up 190,000 views. That's impressive. And the same time, the town hall for Elon, 10.4 million views. Mark, how does irrelevance feel? It's in fashion this year for you. Now in the town hall, Elon was taking questions from the audience. I like that. And one lady was asking him, hey, I'm concerned about election fraud. What are your thoughts, Elon? So let's hear the question. Let's hear Elon's thoughts.
I used to be really, really active in promoting, Trump campaign 4 years ago. And I got burned out, and I'm so frustrated. And it's all because of the cheating. So what are we going to do with that?
Well,
one answer is hope it doesn't happen, but say more, Elon.
I think some amount of cheating that takes place. It's hard because they've, when you have mail-in ballots and no sort of proof of citizenship, it becomes almost impossible to prove cheating is the issue.
It's impossible to prove cheating's an issue and impossible to prevent cheating.
Some sides will say there's no cheating, and I'm like, you've made it impossible to actually prove that there's cheating. But statistically, there are some very strange things that happen that are statistically incredibly unlikely.
300,000 votes for Biden all came in at 3 a.m. How many for Trump at that time? 0. Statistically.
There's always this sort of question of, say, the Dominion voting machines. It is weird that I think they're used in Philadelphia and in Maricopa County, but not in a lot of other places. Doesn't that seem like a heck of a coincidence? So I think there's we should, in my view, we should only do paper ballots, hand counted. That's it.
Environmentalists aren't going to like that. Democrats aren't going to like that either. Cheaters aren't going to like that. We'll get back to the video in just a second, but first, I'll tell you something you already know. It is an election year, and that means two things. One, there's never been a more important time to be informed. But two, there's never been a time where news organizations are attempting to deceive you more. That's why to stay informed, I am right here on Ground News, because they take the deception out of news, bring transparency so you can see what the biases are and where your sources of news are actually coming from. And for you to check out Ground News, you can scan the QR code that you see now, hit the link below, or go to ground.news/JP. So Ground News gathers sources from all over the internet, along with telling you where they come from, where the biases are, gives you all the topics you can choose from. Now, I love the blind spot feature that Ground News offers. It tells you blind spots for the right. What are almost no news sources that lean right covering? It tells you that. Same thing for the left. An example of that, Trump White House stopped FBI from fully investigating Brett Kavanaugh. And there's zero sources on the right reporting on that, thus it's a blind spot in the right. And being a free thinker means we don't want to just be told what we want to hear, we want to know what's really going on. So you can investigate this story, you can look at the media outlets, where they lean, and you can judge for themselves if they're worth paying attention to. And of course, my opinion, the left has tremendous blind spots, and I wish more liberals would subscribe to Ground News. They would awaken a lot faster. So my friends, because it's an election year, the time to be informed has never been more important, yet the attempts to deceive you have never been stronger, but Ground News puts the power back in your hands. So if you want to be informed rather than misled this election cycle, where you can compare media coverage, spot bias, avoid algorithms, try Ground News today, and you can save 40% off your subscription. Just go to ground.news/JP. Hit the link in the comments below and save 40% off your subscription today. Now back to the video.
I'm a technologist. I know a lot about computers, and I'm like, the last thing I would do is trust a computer program. Because it's just too easy to hack. It's too easy to add just one line. And it's really difficult to hack paper ballots. You know, in-person voting, yeah, with ID, which, by the way, every country has. I mean, like almost every country that has democratic elections requires in-person voting with voter ID.
And to get on an airplane, you got to have your ID. To buy alcohol, you have to have ID. To get into my comedy shows, if you reserved your tickets, they're at the ticket booth, you have to show ID. It's just, is it racism or is it security? You be the judge.
It's super weird to not have that. I think that's the only way to effectively address fraud. You know, given that we are where we are today, I think we just need a very big margin of victory.
To me, this is like the best reality that I know. Like what he was saying is like, we should only have in-person voting, paper ballots. I agree. That's not going to happen this time. Will it ever happen? I don't know. That's the only way. So what's the solution this time? And I think Elon's talking about now the real solution to the present election, huge margin of victory.
You know, yeah. If the margin of victory is big enough, then as they say, it's got to beat the cheat.
Got to beat the cheat. The way I look at it is if you have two basketball teams, one team's cheating and the refs are corrupt, they're on the cheating team's side, they're bad calls and no calls against the cheating team. And the cheating team, they're doing funny business like roughing up players and, 6 men on the court at times, but the refs aren't calling that. The honest team, they can still win. They just have to basically have a bigger margin of effort and therefore have a bigger margin of victory than would otherwise take. So I do believe it is possible. I don't think it's a fair game right now with this election. There's a basketball analogy for you. Now, this was my favorite question. Do you think there's a shadow government behind the Harris-Walz campaign? Well, what a crazy question. Maybe. There definitely. Yeah. What's Elon say?
My question is, do you think there is a shadow government behind the Biden-Harris administration?
I mean, well, let me put it this way. It's not Biden.
Therefore, it's a yes. Who's running the Biden government? Not Biden. Therefore, it's a shadow government.
We know that for a fact. Okay. The dude is like barely got 2 functional neurons. So, it's like, and he just seems to be at the beach a lot, and he's obviously not in charge. So, I mean, when the polls started going low on Biden, he he was saying, oh, he's staying in the race, but then I guess the real powers that be told him he's not, you know?
Yeah, and if you're not susceptible to gaslighting, if you're watching this, I'm guessing you're not, that's what you saw too. We all saw it. Just the question is, do you believe your own senses? Do you believe your own mind? Or have you been brainwashed by the Orwellian propaganda to betray the senses of your eyes and ears? Because after all, it is the party's final, most essential command, and it will work if you obey. I'm feeling pretty non-compliant these days. How about you?
So who is it that's behind him? We know Obama, okay, but Obama...
Just everybody in the crowd's getting worked up. It's Soros, it's Obama, and Rothschilds.
I mean, I'm just as curious as you are.
BlackRock.
You know, it is, as far as I can determine, that there isn't any one sort of puppet master.
I believe that.
It's more like there's 1,000 or, I don't know, a lot. So, but I mean, I'd like to talk to them to understand more about, listen, what are your goals, puppet masters? I'm just curious. I mean, maybe I agree with some of them. It's possible. But it's just obvious that Biden's not in charge. It's obvious that Kamala's not in charge. I mean, they just replaced the Biden puppet with the Kamala puppet, very obviously. And it's, you can tell, like, if the teleprompter stops working, then the puppet breaks. And it's like, oh. the puppet just starts looping because the teleprompter broke. I don't have a teleprompter. I can just talk like a normal human.
Well, not necessarily a normal human, Elon, no offense, but you can talk without a teleprompter, which is a beautiful thing. I love listening to the mind of Elon Musk. I think he has great perspective. He really seems to be putting in a lot of effort in the best interest of humanity. I think he has his personal agendas as well, and I don't think it's mutually exclusive. I think he has done so much for free speech. He sees President Trump as the gateway to America, once again being what America is supposed to be. He sees Trump as the future of free speech, as the Constitution, and sees Trump as the future of a democracy still being in place, or democracy replacing the illusion of a democracy. So I've appreciated these thoughts, and especially like him sharing his pretty darn intelligent perspective about a few topics: election integrity, that client list, and the shadow government, that it's hard to get high-level people to speak openly and honestly about. Let me know what you think about Elon and Trump's campaign, how effective you think he's been, and if you like it. I look forward to hearing your comments when I read them below. I'll hear them with my eyes and I'll see them with my ears, apparently. I'm a little sensory dyslexic, apparently. Thank you for watching, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. I look forward to seeing you on our next video, but until then, stay free.